Okay, what's up, guys? You guys are actually with me in my room tonight. Nobody part of my team knows that I'm doing this. Um, and I've made the executive decision as the host and the founder of the Narrow Way podcast to cut it into two separate videos. So what you guys are watching right now is part one. Part two will come up the same day, same time, probably. I say you watch both parts. Part two, there's a crash out. I say which one of us? But the Holy Spirit definitely hits us pretty hard. Um, this episode we talk a lot about history stuff, so if that's not exactly your thing, I would recommend going to part two. That's more of a not debate, but discussing views on a thing. You also get a few testimonies, which is amazing. You get one in this video at the beginning, I think. Discussion time, I believe. But yeah, this is part one of What's Prayer. And yeah, you guys should go watch part two after this. I recommend watching both parts. But yeah, here's part one. What's prayer? I'm sorry that I had to do this again. Kind of was like a thing that I had to do because, yeah, it was taking too long to download and then it wouldn't download. I've been trying all day. It's been terrible. I tried really hard to edit this thing and get it out today, but it was rough. But see you guys. We're back here in another video with the Narrow Way podcast. This is episode 2. What's prayer?
It's the big topic.
Yep. We have a few other stuff that we want to talk about. We're back here with my co-host
Morgan.
Yeah, that is his name.
Yep.
We took your guys' advice. You guys said the audio quality was bad, so we got new mics. You guys said the video quality was bad, so I upped it to 4K, and I'm using a different software. Yeah, you guys kind of let us have it whenever we saw you in real life.
Yeah. Hey, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, we do really appreciate it. Morgan got his question summed up about pigs.
The pork one.
Yeah.
Yes. The answer is Jesus fulfilled that law, so it kind of became outdated because Jesus came along and fulfilled it.
Yeah, he said all meat's clean now, pretty much.
So we got that one answered.
We did.
This podcast is serving its purpose for me.
Exactly.
Answering these questions.
We got the whiteboard here now, so you guys won't have to look at our crotches whenever we're trying to get the whiteboard again.
Yeah.
We're going to do better at keeping segments longer and talking more on one specific thing.
Not branching off.
Yeah, we're going to try our best to do that. We know that we naturally kind of go into little rabbit holes that talk about different things. We apologize, but that's just kind of about what we're talking about. We like to branch off, connect pieces together.
But we will try.
We will try to...
I'll make it a point.
Yeah, that was more for like the first episode, and we didn't like have as much backing on what we were talking about on the first episode either, because it was more of just like, it's by the episode's name, it was who we are. You were trying to get to know us, so you get a better understanding of where we are in our walks.
Exactly. And
what we know, and just like who we are as people, how we talk, to where if you want to come back and listen again, more than welcome.
Hopefully you're here.
Yeah. I mean, we had a blast first episode, so... We're really excited about this one. We're really excited to see where this goes.
All right, so what happened to you this week?
Ooh, I got some. So, Morgan, you guys also said that you wanted me to do my research before Morgan asked me questions because
so you wanted to prepared.
Yes,
and we can have a more productive conversation and get to an answer.
Yep. So he told me his question Sunday. He texted me while I was at church, about 30 seconds before service started, and out of nowhere, his question was answered by the preacher that was up there Sunday, and I told him that, and it was incredible because he like texted me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's a good question." And then one of our pastors went up there and was like, "We're looking at 2nd Ecclesiastes verse 4 through 2nd Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verses 4 through 6. And it was entirely about what he asked me, the question, which is our main topic. What's prayer and what does prayer change? If God knows everything. And we'll get to that later on in the video. I'll put in the description time mark where we are with that. If you guys just want to look for that. We will be talking right now. We're just going to do a few minutes of discussion. This is how we're going to do. This is just like a layout for the rest of our episodes to come ahead. We're going to do discussion about our weekly testimonies. If we had something crazy happen in our lives, which I have not told you about this, but something crazy happened last night. You good?
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
And then we'll probably do some kind of history thing. Morgan has a story for us today. Where's that out of?
Daniel 5.
Okay. We'll be looking at that right after we do all of our discussion. And then we'll go, we have another history thing after that.
We're looking into King Saul and Judas.
We're going to call it,
yes.
We're going to call this is going to be a series that we do. For like every other episode, we got a few different ideas, but this one's going to be called Under the Radar Characters. And for this, we're going to talk about like characters that people might not know the whole story about. They might just know bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Or they might get confused with other characters because they have names that commonly reoccur in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then we get into our main thing, and that'll probably be where we end it today.
Yeah.
So, what happened in your week?
My week, I wouldn't say anything too crazy. I just listened to a lot more debates, podcasts, and different perspectives on Christianity that I've never heard before, because I want as much takes on this stuff as possible, and I'm not going to get into any of them right now because I'm not well researched enough on them, and I'm going to bring these up in later episodes, but
oh boy,
I've just been introduced to a lot of minority opinions.
We talked about one earlier, and it was really interesting, which we want to do a video on it.
Yeah.
But we both need to do a lot more research on it than what we have right now. You did Top Golf today. How was that? I've been wanting to go.
It was fun. Went with church group, and on the way back, there were some amazing. Well, amazing's a little too nice of a word. There were some debates going on. It was awesome. So I'm ready. I'm in that theological mindset right now. I was listening to those debates for like an hour before I got here, and now I'm ready to have some more discussions.
Yeah. You got some books earlier this week.
Books, yes. How did I forget this?
Yeah.
I bought some books about the history of the Bible, about the canon of the Bible.
Is this one of them?
This is one of them. It's called How to Read the Bible Book by Book. It goes into like the context, the genre, who these books are like targeted to. And yes, this is one of them. I bought other ones as well. But yeah, that's what happened to me spiritually this week.
So, my week for the most part was kind of like lame. Didn't really do anything. Was doing a lot of research for this. Worked every day. Trying to just like chill. But last night, I was praying over the podcast. And I was like, God, if you just... I was praying in just prayer that I was saying, I'm giving you myself over to you, Lord. I pray that you just work through this podcast and like everything that's going on in my life, Lord. I just pray that you reflect yourself through me. I prayed in that moment that the Holy Spirit entered my body. And Morgan, whenever I tell you I had the craziest out-of-body experience.
Oh man.
No, I'm not told anybody about this. I even told my girlfriend that you're gonna hear it on the podcast because I didn't tell anybody. It was about 1:00 in the morning. Got home from the drive-in.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm just gonna. I texted my girlfriend good night, and then I was like, I'm just gonna lay down and go to bed. I laid there and I did my nightly prayer routine, and then I hit that prayer on like the podcast, and that just he reconnects himself to me, and that the Holy Spirit just enters me in that moment, and it was insane. It felt like my soul was like right above my body, and like I couldn't move anything. Felt like the whole world was spinning for a second. And I was just in prayer, and I was just like, Lord, I just know that you're here with me, and I pray that you connect me with your Holy Spirit. Lord, I pray that you speak through me in this podcast tomorrow. Because we ended up talking about it earlier that day, about what you were going to talk about the question.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I was like, I want to make sure that my stuff hits the point that needs to be heard of what prayer is to you and to us. And I was just like, I want you to speak through me, Lord. And it was just like, it was like nothing I've ever felt before. It was insane.
Man, bro. So we're ready. You're ready.
Yeah, I'm
It's coming
stoked.
straight from the source, right? Yo, this.
No, I'm stoked. I was listening to, again, I'll shout the song out a million times because I absolutely love it. Dave by Holvey, so good. I've been here for, it's like 10:30 now, so about 7 hours. Setting this up, doing everything. Excited to watch the fights after this.
Yes.
UFC 329.
Max Holloway.
Yep. I'm a Conor McGregor guy, so I'll be watching that, rooting for Conor. Be editing this video while we're watching that fight, these fights here. But yeah, that's my testimony from this week.
Awesome.
Yeah. Bible's open, people, because it's story time.
Yes.
We are going to be in Daniel 5 for Morgan's story today.
Yep.
Do you care to tell us why?
Why this story?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted a segment on the podcast where we talk about like weird or, you know, not so known Bible stories. And ChatGPT gave me the answer, one of the answers, story of the writing on the wall. And this one actually caught my interest because the writing on the wall is a phrase that is used outside of Christian like context. So it's something that, you know, most likely everyone's heard, even non-Christians. So
See,
yeah.
like it's crazy because I want to know if that's where it all came. Like that.
This is.
That is where
Yes.
it came from.
Yes.
Because I also wonder if atheists who use it know that they're using it from the Bible, from a Christian story.
They're never using that phrase again.
The writing on the wall. Yeah, you know what? That's actually from Daniel chapter 5. You know, it's a great Christian story, man. You know, let me tell you about it. And then they'd be like, no, I don't want to hear about it. I'm never using that phrase again.
Yep.
But I don't know. That was something that went through my head whenever you told me that you're doing this story. I didn't know where that saying originated from, so I was wondering if it actually
Yeah,
came.
see, this is also just a fun part. Like,
Yeah.
now you guys know.
Yeah, the more you know. The TLC.
Fun fact. Ooh.
Yeah. We
All
turn
right.
it into the TLC, the learning channel.
Yo. All right.
But yeah, I got my Bible open to chapter 5 in Daniel.
Yep.
I'll be doing the reading, and Morgan will be like the storyteller, telling us where we need to look at, explaining everything to us.
Yep.
I'm reading out of the New King James Version, so the grammar and some of the reading is going to be really weird, and I might be choppy with it, and I apologize, but I need to do better at openly reading this. I might get an NIV for this channel, just so it's easier to read.
I'm in NIV.
That's what I usually like to read out of. It's what I have downloaded to my phone. But this is what I like to study out of, is New King James, because I like the more original
Yeah,
verbiage,
I understand that.
because then I can pick up on context that you can't,
That you can maybe miss in
Yeah.
other versions.
because it's a more, that's like a more simpler, more modern grammar
Yes.
into them.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my reason. But I will be reading out of chapter 5. We're going to be covering verses 6 through 8.
That's what he's reading out loud.
Yes. And then we'll go more in depth with what he's telling us, but he's just going to paraphrase that because it's a lot here.
It's a lot shorter. And
Yes.
I'm not losing any main ideas.
Alrighty.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to start with some context about Daniel 5. This is what is considered a court tale, which, my understanding, is mainly used to emphasize God's power over these kingdoms, these kings specifically on earth. So that's kind of like, I guess, yeah, the genre of this passage. And yes, all of Daniel 5 is about this story. So I'm going to start off with this. What's happening is King Belshazzar is like having a feast, a great feast. And within this feast, he commands that sacred cups that were stolen from the temple of Jerusalem, they were stolen earlier, but he commands that they be brought out to drink out of. And then after they drink, they praise false gods of gold, silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Now here's the fun part. Immediately after, the fingers of a human hand appeared and wrote on the wall of the king's palace. The king saw the hand.
Then the king's conscience was changed, and his thoughts troubled him. So his joints of his loins were loosened, and his knees rubbed one against another. The king cried aloud to bring the enchanters, the Chaldeans, the soothsayers. And the king spoke and said, to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof, shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold around their neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom.
All right. And now, all of these people he brings in are unable to understand what this writing means. So then it is at this point, the queen, hearing the voices of the king and his nobles, came into the banquet hall. May the king live forever, she said. Don't be alarmed. Don't look so pale. There is a man in your kingdom who has the spirit of the holy gods in him. In the time of your father, he was found to have insight and intelligence and wisdom like that of the gods. She is referring here to Daniel. It is at this point.
This is the same Daniel that was in the lion.
Daniel in the lion's den. Same guy.
Do we know
went through a lot.
what religion that this kingdom followed? Was it Christianity?
It was definitely not Christianity. It's the Old Testament.
They say Daniel's the one with the gods in him.
That's kind of why I kind of recoiled at that.
I don't. We'll have to do some more research on that, or if any of you guys know the answer of what the Babylonians believed in.
It's not Christianity. I can tell you guys that.
They believe in multiple gods, unless.
And Jesus wasn't even on earth at this time. This was before Jesus.
There couldn't be. There couldn't even be a misinterpretation. So. I wonder. That's just something that stuck out to me.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Daniel comes in, is able to read the writing on the wall, and it translates into this. God has numbered your kingdom, which is like he's marked it to end. You have been weighed, judged by God, and your kingdom is divided. Now this is the fun part of this story. The same night, these prophecy, I don't know if I could call it that, but this writing was fulfilled. King Belshazzar dies, and his kingdom is taken over by some neighboring, I'll call them like cities.
Neighboring kingdoms?
Yes, neighboring kingdoms. What a great word.
I guess I would count that that's prophecy.
Yeah, it's just immediately fulfilled.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, there's nobody committing the prophecy except for God. He's just telling them.
He's saying what's going to happen.
Yeah. And then it happens. I guess, okay. I'm going to go into a rabbit hole real quick.
We're staying on topic, though.
We're trying our best to stay on topic, but this is just a question.
I'll grant this.
That's going through my head. I wonder, because in the Tower of Babel, in the town of Babel, there is a gift that is talked about. And we will do a whole series on gifts. Don't worry. That's something that I really love. And there's the gift of tongues.
Yes.
I wonder if that is... because nobody else was able to translate this. Would that be counted as the gift of tongues? That is a question. I'm not saying anything.
I would say no.
Say I don't.
That's where I'll leave it here. Back to Daniel?
Yeah, back to Daniel.
So yeah, I mean, that was just a fun story of God showing his power over these kings who were disrespecting him and worshiping false gods.
That was his wrath.
Yes, that was his power. Now, what can we learn from this? So, Belshazzar was very prideful. And he actually was warned that, this could happen. And he was like, nah, that's not going to happen.
Who was he warned by?
Daniel.
He was warned by Daniel?
Right before, right after Daniel, read the writing.
Yeah.
He says this: Your Majesty, the Most High God, gave your father Nebuchadnezzar. Now, Nebuchadnezzar is not actually his father, but the Hebrew word for this father, where it says here, actually just means predecessor. Just thought I'd say that. Gave your father Nebuchadnezzar sovereignty and greatness and glory and splendor. Because of the high position he gave him, all the nations and people of every language dreaded and feared him. Those the king wanted to put to death, he put to death. Those who he wanted to spare, he spared. Those he wanted to promote, he promoted. And those he wanted to be humbled, he humbled. But when his heart became arrogant and hardened with pride, he was disposed from his royal throne and stripped of his glory. He was driven away from people and given the mind of an animal. He lived with the wild donkeys and ate grass like the ox, and his body was drenched with the dew of heaven until he acknowledged that the Most High God is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth and sets over them anyone he wishes. But you, Belshazzar, his son, not exactly his son, but
his predecessor,
yes, have not humbled yourself, though you knew all of this. Instead, you have set yourself up against the Lord of heaven. You have had the goblets from his temple brought to you, and you and your nobles, your wives and your concubines, drank wine from them. You praised the gods of silver and gold, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which cannot see or hear or understand. But you did not honor the God who holds in his hand your life and all your ways. Therefore, he sent the hand that wrote the inscription, and then the inscription was what I described.
Now, you're the one that's been doing the studying on this, and this is why I have so many questions and why I don't know any of this. Was this why Daniel was thrown in the lions den?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. And this was before he was, right?
I'm not actually entirely sure. I've only looked into Daniel 5, but I can't even comment on that because I'm not entirely sure.
So I've never read through Daniel. I've never looked into Daniel ever in my life. I definitely have to at some point because that's a very crucial story that all Christians know. And I feel like an idiot not knowing it. But I recently just, and this is why I wanted to do King Saul as our history lesson. I just now looked into 1 Samuel. Like I said, the last podcast, I love reading through it. And looking at the story of David. And David and Goliath was in that. And I didn't know it was. And it caught me off guard. But I've really enjoyed learning about that. But that's why. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Okay, so yes, pride. Bad. King Belshazzar was very prideful, and this ultimately led to the downfall of his kingdom and his death. And so that's one takeaway, pride, bad. If you guys didn't know that, pride is bad. This story reinforces that idea.
One of the 7 deadly sins, but
yes. And then this shows God's power over these kings.
God's wrath is scary.
Yep. And those are the 2 main takeaways I have. Showing God's power and another verse of many that tells us pride is not good.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Another takeaway. This one touches on false gods, not worshiping false gods. So those were the 3 main takeaways I wrote down that we can learn from this story.
All right. And that was our segment on Morgan's cool story. I actually really enjoyed that. I'm excited for the ones to come.
I hope the viewers enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get better with this. We're still new.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to we're thinking about upping the videos per week, but we don't know yet. But we're trying to get used to this new schedule of trying to take in all this information, prepare it for this podcast while working, doing stuff with our family, doing stuff with our friends, stuff like that. Yep. And yeah, we're gonna get used to it, and it's gonna get better. We really enjoy all of the stuff that you guys have to say.
Yes. All right, so
we're very thankful for all that.
Thankfully, we live in the day of the internet, and I was able to get an answer. The Daniel in the Lion's Den takes place right after in Daniel 6, and it's actually the next ruler, the one who took over.
Yeah.
Who puts Daniel in the Lion's Den.
Is it because that king died?
I don't know. That'll be the next story. That'll be the next one we're looking into. Daniel in the Lion's Den.
I would rather enjoy that.
It's a fun one. It's a lot of people know about it, but we can
I feel like a lot of people know the premise of it, but they don't know the context
exactly.
behind it.
Exactly.
But
All right,
that's what we're going to get into.
you guys
with
can be
these
excited for that.
stories.
Yep.
Next up is the history segment, where we are going back and reading over stories and reading over the characters, going back in context.
Ooh, context.
We're going to be
Super important.
showing you guys the entire life of these people. Like with your guy Judas, they know mainly about the selling Jesus part.
Judas the traitor.
Yeah. King Saul, a lot of people know him as, I don't even really know how much people.
Yeah, not a lot of people in my experience know that much about King Saul.
Yeah, like I didn't know. I knew of him because of the David story, but I didn't really know everything that happened.
You know he was a guy who
Yeah.
existed back then.
Yeah. I knew that he was a ruler during David's time that ended up getting. Yeah, that's a whole thing.
Hey. All right, so
you want me to go ahead and go into
let's
the.
do it, because
Okay. So, how King Saul came about. He was originally a shepherd and a livestock person for his father. He wasn't anybody of royalty. This is before the Israelites were allowed to have a king. And this is something that we'll touch on later in the pod because I have a verse that I want to touch on that's about this.
I have that same verse.
You do?
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, before this, Israelites were not allowed to have a king, and their king was Jesus, and not Jesus, God at the time, because Jesus wasn't a person yet. But Saul was known as one of the most handsome young men around. He was very good looking, very strong and athletic, and he was a shepherd. Later on, God was like, okay, you guys want a king? You guys keep praying about it. So I will let you have one. And during this time, Samuel was praying for discernment. Who shall be the next king? God was like, this is who it is. He's like, okay. He goes and tells Saul, you're God's chosen king. Saul's like, what? I'm the chosen king. What? Why am I the chosen king? And Samuel's like, I don't know. That's what God told me. So you're the chosen king.
Daniel or Dave?
Neither. Saul.
Saul. Who told him? Who told him this?
Samuel.
Samuel. Okay, my bad.
Samuel was a prophet and a judge.
Okay.
He's a very intellectual person, and that's why his writing is so interesting to me. But then during that time, he was the ruler for a while. He ended up getting very prideful. After becoming a ruler, he was asked by God through Samuel to go into a war against the Amalekites. The Amalekites.
We're going here?
Yeah. Okay, so where we're going with this now is 1 Samuel 15. He asks, God tells Samuel, I need you guys to wipe out the Amalekites. They're going to torture you guys for years to come like they have forever. They're scavengers. They're terrible people. And I need you guys to just wipe them off the face of the earth. It's pretty much what he says.
Yeah. In my experience, I've read this verse. He says, like, men, women, infants, animals. He wants these people out of there.
And he doesn't want anybody left. No, he says no one can be left. And whenever I read through this, I was like, okay, so he just told them to commit a mass genocide. But then I read in Exodus and Kings and Deuteronomy, and I was like, oh, these people are just like terrible people.
Yeah.
They were scavengers. They hunted on the weak. They already attacked the Israelites multiple times, and they were worshiping false gods, and they were making fun of our God, and they were doing a lot of just terrible things, to where now you look at it and you're like, I understand it, because then they tortured the Israelites forever after that. So not Samuel. So King Saul leads them into war, and he leaves their king alive. I can't remember, King Agag is the king's name. He leaves the good women and good children left, and he leaves the good ox and sheep.
Mm-hmm.
God becomes very frustrated with King Saul. He's like, you did not do what I asked you to do. You've become very prideful, and I don't like that. So I'm going to have a new king. At that point is the downfall of King Saul. King Saul's like, I will do whatever you want. He tries doing things, and then Samuel's like, there's no hope for you. You've already went against God. You've already separated yourself from God. And he's choosing a new king for Israel. They don't know when this new king will take over. They don't know anything like that. They just know there's going to be a new king, and it's not going to be Saul anymore. This is where the most interesting verse is said about what King Saul says. He says, what does God know? For I am the chosen king of Israel. He says, that dude who chose me and rules over our land and has already said, I want to commit mass genocide because I know these people are bad. What does he have to say about me? Then God says, if that's how you want to be, I will let the evil spirits have their way with you. He then falls into a great depression and anxiety, and it doesn't say he becomes possessed, but at this point is whenever they find out who it is, because he's at this point, Samuel knows who it is. He doesn't tell Saul until after David kills Goliath, and he comes up to Samuel, and Samuel's like, you are the next chosen king of Israel. Saul's like, I don't like that at all. Saul tries to kill him multiple times with a spear. Even his own son Jonathan, he tries to kill with a spear.
Interesting guy.
Yeah. So the people that were with Goliath, I can't remember the name of the people. It's something with an H, and I'm
Not
sorry.
important.
It's not really. Well, it is at the end.
Herod?
Yeah. So he falls into a great rage. He falls into some terrible stuff. He has a lot of psychotic problems. It's almost like I looked up what some of these words meant and the context behind this. They think now that he became bipolar, and he was just messed up in the head. He was so messed up in the head. There were multiple times where it said he chased his own son because he found out that he was helping David.
And
Because they were good friends before.
Saul we're talking about?
Yes. So Jonathan, his son, helped David try to escape Israel because his father was trying to kill him.
Like insane.
Yes. And there was one day where Jonathan was just standing in their house, and Saul picked up the spear next to him and chucked it at him, trying to kill him. And Jonathan was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go find David. I'm going to go chill with him because he's the next chosen king of Israel by God. And I know that he's a faithful man. I want to be with him. Saul's like, I'm just going to chase you with the spear then.
So Saul's insane.
Yep.
Is what I'm gathering.
Yep. He then is like, God doesn't want me to lead this. Doesn't want me to lead the Israelites into war with I can't remember who it is, but it's the same people who were with Goliath. It's something with an H, and I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. And he's leading them into war, and God's like, you shouldn't do that. And he does it anyways. The entire army of Israel becomes slaughtered, and he's like, he goes to his right-hand man who's like carrying all this stuff for him. He's like, kill me. I want you to kill me. And his person's like, no, I'm not doing that. You're crazy. And Saul goes, okay, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. He ends up stabbing himself through the stomach, which is it was a military way of suicide back then, and still is in some cultures. But with a sword, in the Bible it says he falls on his own weapon, which means he just went like this with his own sword and killed himself on the battlefield because he was scared and he didn't want to be captured by I'm pretty sure it's the Hezekites. I'm not exactly sure.
Continue.
You looked it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, pretty much. Don't turn your back on God. Don't think that you're more than God, for we are given everything by him. We don't make our own people. It's because of him that we have everything. So don't become too prideful. Don't maybe don't say,
God knows nothing.
yeah, God knows nothing and I'm the chosen king of Israel. Just don't say that maybe.
Yeah.
That might be blasphemy.
Hey, so back-to-back stories about pride.
Yeah. Just don't try not to have an ego.
And yet,
I am a very
that's
egotistical
also
person.
another story about God's power over kings.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't I myself have an ego. People around me know that. I try my best to keep it down and I try my best to do away with my pride, but there are times that I fall into it. And I'll admit that. And I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to give all glory to God that he's the one that I get everything from. It's not because of my own doing. But yes, that story basically just don't think that you're better than God.
And it doesn't just apply to kings.
Yeah, dude, it applies to all of us.
Because a lot of us, we see stories like this and we're like, man, how are these people so, egotistical? When really, like, we're not kings, but we're just as egotistical.
Yep.
So that's something I do notice. A lot of times in the Bible, we see these stories and we're like, oh my gosh, these people are so wicked. But then we take a look at ourselves and we're like, oh man, we did the same stuff.
Yep. But if you ever want to read about the story of King Saul, it is verses not. It's not verses. It's chapters 1 Samuel 9 through 31 is the entire story of Saul. It's also the story of David is through there. Story of Israel is the first 8 chapters. It gives you like a recap of what's going on. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading it. It was a really good read. Got to know a lot more than what I did about who King Saul was and what he was about. He was actually a good guy up to
Initially.
the point of thinking that he was better than God.
That's not usually considered a good thing.
Not usually.
Never.
No. Yeah. Yeah, just don't be like Conor McGregor and be like,
my.
I am a god. I know.
Yeah, you're
God
not a god.
knows God.
I'm not a god. Humans are not God. Jesus, both human and God. That's another interesting thing I'd like to touch on later. But yeah. Is it Judas time?
Yeah. Let's hit your story.
Judas Iscariot. An interesting guy. Interesting. Evil. Perhaps.
Something that I find interesting about the story of Judas is he sold his soul for money. Pretty much. He turned his back on God for, what was it, 30 shingles of gold?
30, yeah.
We do
Shingles.
that daily as normal people for free.
Exactly. This is what I was talking about earlier. Like, we see these holy crap, holy stutter. We see these figures in the Bible and we're like, oh my gosh, these guys turning their back, or, being so egotistical, being whatever. But yeah, it's exactly what I pointed out earlier.
Yeah.
And you can see that here. This guy, at least he got 30.
Yeah.
We do it, I mean,
We do it daily for free.
Yeah,
And he was one of the disciples up to that point.
exactly. I
That's
touched on
crazy.
this. But yeah. So, well, that was one of my takeaway points, but we got to it before. But that's great. That's great. So I'm going to start with some background on Judas for those who have like no idea who he is.
Yeah.
So he was one of the 12 apostles. He traveled with Jesus for about 3 years. He was actually like, I say the group's treasurer, but like John 12:6 says he has charge of the money bag. So like he was in charge of the finances.
Yeah. Makes him very wealthy, and like, why do you need that 30 shingles of gold anyways?
Another question. But like with him being the group's treasurer, we can see that he was a trusted member. Like, it's not like they thought he was just some, I don't know, douchebag, essentially. That's not how they viewed him.
They didn't view him as just like a everyday member of the group. You have to be like,
He was a trusted member.
I'm not trusting anybody with my money.
Exactly. And this guy was.
Yeah.
Now, Judas Iscariot, that last names worked differently back then. Iscariot like roughly translates to from Kirioth. And here's a fun fact I got. This most likely makes him the only apostle from Judah. and not Galilee, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So yeah, that's just some fun or some background information on him. And here's another example of Judas like being a trusted member. In Matthew 10, verse 1 through 8, it records Jesus sending all 12 apostles out to heal the sick, cast out demons, and preach. And he didn't exclude Judas. So that's just another.
So Jesus trusted him.
Yes. But he trusted him, but he also knew about, he knew Judas was going to betray him.
How did he know that? Like, where does it claim? More of my question is, where does it claim that he knows that?
I have it in here somewhere.
Okay.
Here's him talking to the apostles. Did I not choose you, the 12, and yet one of you is a devil? He's talking to the apostles here. And this conversation takes place 1 year before Jesus' crucifixion.
Okay.
So he knew in advance. Now, like, Judas, it's not like he magically just turns into a bad guy. John 12:6, the same verse that actually tells us he has charge of the money bag, says he was like a thief. So that's kind of the Bible introducing to us some of the flaws of Judas. And then I guess I'll go into the story of his betrayal. So in Matthew 26, 3 through 5, Mark 14, 1 through 2, and Luke 22, verse 1 through 2, they all are like telling a story of the chief priests deciding they want Jesus arrested. Judas then goes to them and offers to betray Jesus. And then I'll read 14 through 16 of Matthew 26. Judas asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" And then they agree on 30 pieces of silver. Now, in the verse in Luke describing this event, he says, "Then Satan entered Judas." And then it, talks about the agreement of the 30 pieces of silver. And a fun fact about this amount, in Exodus 21, verse 32, it says 30 shekels was the compensation paid if a slave was accidentally killed. So some people think this is symbolic of how Jesus was valued. He was value of a slave. Now, slavery, that is a topic atheists like to bring up when discrediting Christianity. And I will
Exodus.
I will look into that and give the Christian response. But anyway, continuing. After Judas agrees to betray Jesus, we're going to go to the Last Supper. Jesus states again that one of his apostles will betray him. And none of the apostles immediately suspect Judas. They're like, but who? And they actually start questioning themselves. Sorry, I'm going to John to read about the Last Supper. All right, so verse 18. I'm not referring to all of you. I know those I have chosen, but this is to fulfill the passage of Scripture. He who shared my bread has turned against me. I'm telling you now before it happens, so that when it does happen, you will believe that I am who I am. Very truly, I tell you, whoever accepts anyone I send accepts me, and whoever accepts me accepts the one who sent me. After he had said this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and testified, very truly, I tell you, one of you is going to betray me. Now going back to what you asked about when Jesus knows, how do you know it was Judas? Mm-hmm. He says, he who shared my bread has turned against me. And then you're going to see here in a second. His disciples stared at one another at a loss to know which one of them he meant. One of them, the disciple whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to him. Simon Peter motioned to this disciple and ask him which one he means. Leaning back against Jesus, he asked him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, it is the one to whom I will give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish. So does this answer your question? Like, this shows Jesus.
Yeah.
Then dipping the piece of bread, he gave it to Judas. As soon as Judas took the bread, Satan entered into him. So Jesus told him, "What you are about to do, do quickly." But no one at the meal understood why Jesus said this to him, since Judas had charge of the money. Some thought Jesus was telling him to buy what was needed for the festival, or to give something to the poor. As soon as Judas had taken the bread, he went out, and it was night. Okay, so actually something I noticed when I was studying this, the point of Satan entering Judas is actually told differently in Luke. Luke says it entered into him before they agreed on the money. Here it says as soon as, he took the bread. Interesting, but, I don't think it's a ginormous deal. So after this supper, Judas goes out into a crowd. Well, they all go out into a crowd, and then Judas kisses Jesus on the cheek in order to identify him to the nearby guards. And then I'll briefly state the events that happen. He gets identified via the kiss. He gets arrested, handed over to Pontius Pilate. Pilate sentences him, and then Jesus dies. So that's like kind of the story of Judas, in that we see like his we see some of his flaws early. We see his greed, the 30 pieces of silver. Then we see that Jesus actually knows that Judas is going to betray him. Then ultimately it happens, and this leads to Jesus' death. Yeah. Anything you'd like to add?
No.
So this is another kind of difference, not just when Satan entered into Judas. Judas's death actually has two accounts, which is something I've become questionable of. So in Matthew, Judas feels remorse. He returns the 30 pieces of silver, and then he hangs himself. That's Matthew's account of Judas's death. Acts actually says Judas acquired a field with the reward of his wickedness, so he didn't return the money. He fell headlong, his body burst open, and his intestines spilled out. It's a pretty brutal way to go. But yeah, those two accounts, interesting to me. But yeah, so I encourage those people to look into those different accounts and see how smarter Christians than me have resolved those. But yeah, that's basically the story I have.
I wonder if that second account is his.
Like what happened after he hanged himself, like his body then decomposed and then his guts spilled out. I've heard that as
That could be it, but I was thinking more of like how he died spiritually.
okay, perhaps.
Like in that moment, he was like, I felt no remorse.
Well, in Matthew, he did feel remorse.
I know, but like
You're saying in Acts?
in the moment of him getting that gold and turning over Jesus, he felt no remorse, and he tumbled over spiritually.
So perhaps it's talking about two different types of death?
Yeah.
All right. That is a potential resolve, I guess. Now, I have here some lessons we can learn from Judas. Being close to Jesus is not the same as following him.
Yeah.
I mean, we see one of the trusted apostles, betraying Jesus. And this man was with Jesus. He saw him perform these miracles, and he preached about him, and he still betrayed him.
Yeah.
So that's a lesson. Like, just because you're going through the motions, you're in church, you think, you know, you're a follower, doesn't necessarily mean you can't betray God.
Hmm.
You think that's a reasonable take?
Yeah, no, that it kind of explains why a year prior to him, Jesus already knew you aren't putting your faith in me. You are still worldly. You're just with me because don't know why Judas was with him yet.
Well, he started out as he wanted to follow him.
Yeah, but like, what if he was doing that for like the wrong reason?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why he didn't have faith.
Another thing we
don't know.
We can learn. Why are you going to church?
Yeah.
You know, are your parents making you? That's
because he could have been doing it just because, okay, I know this is good. I know he's doing these things, but I'm gonna stay with him because, well, I'm a thief, so I know how that chain goes.
Yeah.
I want to stay with the person with the most power.
Perhaps.
And then that's why he didn't connect himself spiritually, and he knew, God already knew. One of you
it says is a devil.
Is giving himself over to the world and not me.
Yeah.
And he had that year to change, and then God was like,
all right,
I'm gonna because I love you, I will let you stay with me because you are one of the 12 that I've decided to keep. And ended up being like, hey, I already knew what you did.
Yeah.
And what you're going to do. So it's because you are worldly and because you haven't given your faith to me. It's because he was doing that, like you just said, just doing the routine, I'm going to be a good person on the outside and go to church every Sunday and Wednesday,
yeah,
but not really give a crap about it. I'm doing it for the look.
Yeah.
And I think that's more of like what Judas was doing. Like he wanted that look. He wanted to look powerful.
Yeah, I mean yeah. And a lot of us are like Judas.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like in that we do it for status, so we don't look, you know, like in our state, we're heavily Christian. If you don't go to church, now this is ironic, Christians will look down on you. Somewhat.
I don't think they look down at you. They just look at you like you got
like 8 eyes.
Yeah,
exactly.
They'll just look at you weird because like you don't go to church.
Yeah, and another takeaway I had: religious activity is not proof of genuine faith.
Exactly.
Which is what we're saying.
Yeah. But that's where my mind went whenever we're talking about the Judas story. I've never fully read into it, so that it's really interesting that you did. And I didn't really think much of it whenever you said you wanted to look into him. So that just kind of coming out of it, it makes a lot of sense. It's wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
Which is what the devil's done multiple times in humanity. Dressed himself up as a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Mm-hmm. And then this last take, since we're talking about Satan, he often works through like existing weaknesses, which in that John 12:6, John's kind of like foreshadowing that Judas has some flaws, an existing weakness that the devil came in and has capitalized on,
like his desire for money and desire for power.
Greed. Yeah, greed was another thing we saw in Judas.
So everybody has their vice.
Yep.
This is a thing. Like, mine is being egotistical. I know that. Thinking I know all and everything. Don't. And I need to do better at that. Judas is greed.
Greed. Yeah.
And that's how the devil works in you.
Yep. Now, actually, this is kind of interesting. An interesting take I have. I don't know. This may seem crazy. I'm thankful for Judas.
Why?
His actions led to the sacrifice that ultimately saved us all.
Yeah, it's true.
So a lot of people can hate Judas, but kind of seems like he was required for us to be saved. So yeah, I'm glad Judas was the way he was.
Yeah.
Because it led to the sacrifice.
Hmm.
Interesting take.
I would agree with it. I mean, I'm very thankful for just the way God used Jesus in that situation. He turned good out of
question.
evil. Yeah.
If Judas hadn't done that, what do you think Jesus would have done? Would you think he would have just went out and turned himself over?
Yeah.
Himself, he was like, "All right, guys, here I am."
See, like he was already making scenes in Babylon with the tower, saying, "I'm going to destroy this because you're not doing glory to my God. You're not doing glory to me."
I think the Babel.
Is that the Tower of Babel?
I don't think Jesus was part of that.
He was the one. He went to the palace and he was like,
But yes, he was making a scene.
yes.
Like everyone hated.
I don't know.
A
if
lot
that
of
was,
people hated him.
I guess I don't know if that was the Tower of Babel. I know it was the Tower of something.
Yeah, a lot of people hated him.
Yes, because of that. He destroyed it and then rebuilt it in 3 days.
So yeah, it if it wasn't Judas, it was probably going to be he was going to get caught eventually anyway. Yeah. But as it actually happened, Judas was kind of responsible. So yeah, that's Judas. That's what I was able to take away from my story.
All right. So that I'm tired. I'm tired. It's about 10:30 on a Sunday night. Just got done editing everything together. Just wanted to say thank you guys if you guys watched it this far. There was not an editing. There's not an ending to this episode because it's episode 1. Not episode 1. It's part 1. Good lord, I'm tired. But I just want to say thank you guys for watching. We truly we want to build a connection with you guys. You guys are the main part of this that we care and love about. The Lord comes first, of course, but we want to reach as many people as possible. We want to grow a genuine connection with you guys. So I just wanted to say that I love you guys, and that we're so thankful for you guys watching part 1. If you guys are able to, you guys want to, part 2's out. Whenever this comes out, should come out the same day. Yeah, I pray that the Lord does amazing things in your life and sends who He needs to help lead you on the right path for Him. But I do highly recommend watching part 2. There's a lot of good things in there. And yeah. Goodbye again. See you guys.